We are currently in the middle of a partial government shutdown. 800,000 Americans are either working without pay or they've been furloughed. And in the middle of all of this, Trump has decided to attack California yet again by threatening to rescind FEMA funds for those who have suffered from wildfires. Now, recently there were major wildfires in the state of California. 89 people died as a result of those wildfires. But Trump thought it was a good idea to tweet the following. Billions of dollars are sent to the state of California for forest fires that, with proper forest management, which by the way is controlled by the federal government, would never happen. Unless they get their act together, which is unlikely, I have ordered FEMA to send no more money. It is a disgraceful situation in lives and money. So I want to reiterate, the federal government is in charge of maintaining the forests because they're national forests.
National forests. There are forest-like areas in state-controlled zones, but like when you say national forest fires in large areas that are like national forests, yes, those are controlled by the federal government.
This is out of control. So not only is it the federal government's responsibility, the forest fires that are happening right now, the extreme nature of these fires, the severity of the fires, the frequency of the fires are contributed by, or what's contributing to them is climate change. I mean, we've talked about that over and over again. Trump thinks that that's some sort of Chinese hoax. It is not a Chinese hoax. A story we didn't get to yesterday, starting in the year 2017, carbon emissions started to increase. In 2018, they increased significantly. Part of that has to do with the fact that, I don't know, things have been deregulated under the Trump administration. And so there is easing of regulations pertaining to carbon emissions from cars, from industries, and it's already having an impact. So climate change was terrible to begin with, but it's now becoming worse because of an increase in carbon emissions. That is exacerbating extreme weather conditions. It's exacerbating things like droughts in states like California. And so yeah, we have more fires, they're more severe. And rather than trying to find solutions to that, he's gonna go ahead and demonize and further victimize people who are victims of these massive fires.
Well, he's demonizing California because his base hates California because California is a progressive state, right? And we stand for human beings, and we are anti, and not everyone in California, because we all know some people wanted to succeed and they didn't want to be a part of the movement, so they asked to be separated in the state of California. But you know, when I think about this, I think it's like he's holding relief hostage until California gets its act together. Has nothing to do with wildfires. It has to do punishing the state for the image of being liberal and being, you know, having help and relief for immigrants and having empathy, because the state of California, because he thinks in generalizations, everybody in the state of California is part of this thinking. But the other thing about those fires that what I read about is that a lot of homeless people are living out in those forests, and they're cold and they set fires to survive, and we disregard homeless people as human beings, and we forget that we have to think about humanity, you know, all of our people collectively. And these are the results of us being, lacking empathy for the homeless. We have ignorance when it comes to climate change. And, it just sounds like I'm punishing California. He's been picking on California for some time.
He has. He's very punitive. Can I just mention one other thing? So Trump has consistently shown that he wants to punish states that did not support him. So for instance, even in the new tax code, what he did was he took away the state tax deduction. So if you're living in a state like California, where state taxes are high, or New York, where state taxes are high, you will no longer be able to deduct those state taxes from your income tax when you file. And that was very clearly a punitive move by the president. And what he's doing now with FEMA is also punitive. And one other thing, sorry, Brett. Look, we pay federal taxes.
That's right.
Right? FEMA is funded by our federal taxes. So Are you seriously going to, first of all, it's insulting to punish people who have been victimized by these horrible fires. Secondly, Californians have contributed to FEMA and its funding. And third of all, for all you people living in red states who love to bash California, you should look into how much of our taxes help fund the welfare recipients in your state. That's right. Because the reality is we pay a lot to help fund those social programs, and I will gladly do it. I have no problem with that because I believe in helping my fellow Americans. But it's mostly red states that take advantage of those programs. I know you want to deny it, and by the way, they're not mostly black individuals who take advantage of those programs, even though they've been conditioned to believe that. There are white, poor people in the middle of the country who rely on those programs. It is what it is. But they are also oftentimes the same people who will bash states like California that help fund those programs.
Yeah, and all we're saying is like, can you help the people who are the victims of the fire right now?
Exactly.
But the question is like, why today?
Well, you know what it is also.
I'm just like, but like, why today was the day he decided to go after California for the wildfire bill?
Because it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
It's why the hell Wednesday?
You try to rationalize we're crazy. You try to rationalize we're crazy. Also, the Kardashians had a fire. And when people talk about California, they demonize Hollywood because Hollywood is to the right? Well, Washington is to the left. So when they are talking about these people, oh, they're rich. Those people had horses. Those people had animals. They're human beings.
Yes.
They belong to us all. And it's just
I would like to say that the first I turned on the notifications on my phone so I see immediately when he tweets. And the first version of this tweet, the forest was spelled with 2 R's. And then I'm like, are you talking about Forrest Gump? Like run Forrest run? Or are you like, my Sophie's choice was either that or like William Bedford Forrest, who started the KKK. It's not like knowing what I know of him, I'm not sure. Why is it auto-correcting to that? Because you capitalize words randomly and it thinks you're typing a name.
I know, it's kind of amazing. I don't even know why he corrected it. Usually he does not correct. He doesn't correct anything.
I think because of the founder of the Klan, but just like
really, that never bothered him before.
Well, just because he wants to focus, but it's so weird to just. And it's so ambiguous as to what the hell he means by this. And that should be proof enough to everyone that he doesn't mean anything. I mean, Gavin Newsom just recently went out and was like, I do want to improve how we handle the forests. And you know what that's gonna take? Money.
Yeah, let me get to that because I think it's important. So Gavin Newsom is the new governor in the state of California. He was just sworn in, and he announced a partnership with the governors of Oregon and Washington, 2 other fire-prone states. The trio called on Trump to double federal funding to manage forest lands in their states, a demand that comes after 2 years of budget cuts under the current administration. And that's another part of this. The budget cuts will continue happening because these massive tax cuts for the wealthy will cost our federal government $2 trillion over the next 10 years. That is a big deal, especially when you couple it with the exacerbation of climate change. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned the explosion of the homeless population because that is a real problem. I know that me and my husband had to evacuate in late 2017 because there was a fire started near where we live by a homeless encampment. They were cooking food and the fire got out of control. And so this type of stuff is gonna happen more and more because we're not looking for solutions. Instead, we're thinking of ways to divide the country, ways to punish people who are our political opponents. It's really sad and pathetic.
One more thing that I wanted to say is that if you're paying attention to what he's doing, the government shutdown doesn't care about those employees. The people who are victims of fires doesn't care about those people. There's a pattern of the people that Donald Trump doesn't care about, and those are all of the people who do not belong to the top 1% that he benefits from being caring about. So when you think that it's our turn and you don't think it's ever gonna be your turn, you better think again, because it's just checking off all of the people who are at the bottom. Those people at the top don't care about us, and it is our job to stop being fans of these politicians and become the constituents that make them accountable for what they're supposed to be doing for the people.
Yep.
In a way, he loves minorities because a minority of the country elected him. He's a minority of the people polled like his wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the minority that he's catering to, and 0.001%. That's the smallest minority of the income population that you can think of. That's what he gravitates toward. And in this, it's just catering to his base. It's throwing stuff at his base. And right now, the reason that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are just sitting there going like, all right, throw your tantrum, is because he doesn't have that power anymore. And he's gonna shake the bully pulpit until it falls out from under him.
So if he's denying FEMA funds for victims in the state of California, if we have this continuous government shutdown, can we stop paying our taxes? Why should I pay my federal taxes if this is what's going on? I mean, I want to know because I see it in every paycheck. I dutifully pay my taxes, right? I don't complain about it. I do what I'm supposed to do. But is this what I'm getting back in return? A big middle finger from the President of the United States when it comes to my state because of political reasons?
Well, on the damage report, we had someone who was a writer who was investigating what was happening behind the scenes at the IRS and when they're cutting funding to the IRS. And actually what happens is you can stop paying your taxes if you're a certain kind of person.
Of course.
Because it's easier for them to check on if a normal person stops paying their taxes. But with the wealthier people who are using these loopholes and these advanced accounting techniques to hide money, they don't have the resources at the IRS to actually look into you to see if you are violating those laws. So those folks actually, if they do decide, hey, the government shut down, I don't want to pay my taxes, those folks are the ones who are more likely to get away with it than if we just decided we weren't going to pay our taxes.
Like the president?
On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.